So this was a fairly interesting question, so I thought I'd take a look into it. So nitrogen spiking is also known as amino acid spiking. And the reason for this is because each amino acid contains nitrogen. And amino acids are the building blocks of protein. And the body will use between 20 and 23 amino acids depending on who you ask. And typically, a full protein source will contain all of these amino acids. And in terms of whey protein, this is also true. Whey protein is considered a complete protein and will have all of the amino acids. If I'm not wrong, I believe every animal source protein is a complete protein. And there are certain vegetarian sources of protein that are and are not complete proteins. And when you look on the back of the label of a whey or casein protein powder, it will tell you how many grams of protein are in each serving. And the way this is measured is not actually by measuring out every single amino acid. Instead, it's by using the amount of nitrogen contained in each serving as a marker of how much protein it contains, because every single amino acid will contain nitrogen. With that being said, some manufacturing companies have realized that buying isolated amino acids, meaning just one, can actually sometimes be cheaper than buying the entire whey or casein protein mixture, which contains all of the amino acids. And since the only thing that truly matters when you're listing serving sizes is going to be the amount of nitrogen inside each serving size, adding an excess of an individual amino acid will maintain this nitrogen level. However, this means that you might get an excess of a single amino acid, but still may actually fall short on some of the other amino acids. And now I think the best way that you can figure this out is simply by looking on the back of the label. If you look on the back of the package and it says whey protein, but it also says that they've added a specific amount of just a single amino acid, this could be an indicator that they've done this nitrogen spiking. However, sometimes companies will actually add individual amino acids to enhance the protein powder. For example, sometimes they will add leucine. And leucine is actually a very, very potent amino acid, because leucine plays more of a signaling role, in which leucine will actually bind to a specific complex inside the cell and activate this complex. This complex is called mTOR. And this complex is responsible for causing the entire protein synthesis process to manifest. And this is through multiple different mechanisms and a lot of gene transcription. But in terms of protein powder, I typically don't recommend it for people who are trying to lose weight. And this is simply because drinking your protein reduces the satiety effects that protein typically has. When you're eating a whole food protein like chicken, steak, or fish, you can think that these protein structures are folded. And the process of digesting it is actually unfolding these structures and splitting it into individual amino acids. And this takes time, so it takes longer to digest. And typically, the longer something takes to digest, the more satiating it is. And I've done a few videos on why this is because of specific cell types in our intestines. But simply, the longer it takes to digest, the further down in our intestines it will get. And in the deeper regions of our intestines, we have specific cells that respond to the presence of nutrients and produce satiety-promoting hormones. And in terms of a whey protein, it will digest fairly quickly because it is almost in a pre-digested form in comparison to something like chicken. Therefore, we'll digest it before it has time to move farther down the intestines and reach these cells. So if you're looking for very rapid and easily digesting protein, a protein powder may actually be beneficial. With that being said, a whey protein will digest quicker than a casein protein. However, when you're trying to lose weight, protein is often extremely helpful for increasing satiety and decreasing appetite. Therefore, if you're struggling with feeling hungry and you currently are drinking protein shakes, you could simply just make a swap. Instead of drinking a protein shake, you could try something like a chicken breast. It has almost the exact same macros and a small amount of micronutrients that you won't be getting from whey protein. And in this scenario, you don't have to worry about any sort of nitrogen spiking. Conversely, if you're trying to gain weight and you're struggling with your appetite, using a whey protein powder every once in a while just to allow you to eat a little bit more food and ensure you're getting in your protein can be helpful. So I think protein powders can be used simply as a source of amino acids. However, whole food protein is going to be used for a source of nutrients and satiety. So given that you're eating all of your micronutrients throughout the day from other sources, using a protein powder to simply increase your protein intake, given that it doesn't cause you to overeat due to the lack of satiety it provides you, is not a bad idea. So in essence, as long as a whey protein powder doesn't come at the expense of you getting in micronutrients, or at the expense of some digestive distress, which they could cause, and really any food could cause digestive distress. But if whey protein happens to be that food for you, then maybe it's not right. However, as long as that doesn't occur, and as long as you're getting your micronutrients, there's nothing wrong with adding in a protein powder. And given that you're buying from reputable brands, and brands that have been established for a good period of time, you most likely don't have to worry about any sort of nitrogen spiking. But once again, if you're eating whole food proteins, then you certainly don't have to worry about it.